You think Steph is going to hit LeBron with a Thanos line? Like, you can change coasts, jerseys, teammates, but look where that's brought you. Right back to me. Here we go again. LeBron, Steph, Warriors, Lakers. It doesn't get any bigger, does it? Right? This will be the biggest series, perhaps of the decade, if you want to talk about ratings and interest. The battle for California. Before I get into this kind of dirty preview of this matchup, because hell, the game's tomorrow. I ain't got time to really dive into it. If you're interested in my takeaway from yesterday's masterclass from Steph Curry, I went live right after the game and just kind of celebrated with y'all. I didn't have too many analytical takes. I was just kind of in shock. So I hopped on live and we just, had some fun with that. So you can check my live stream of that yesterday for my initial thoughts on that game 7. The playoffs are here, right? They're in full swing. Teams battling to get to the next round, going for the glory. So why not go for the money? That's why today I'm working with DraftKings, because they're offering new customers $150 in bonus bets if their pregame moneyline wager of $5 cashes in. That's right, new customers bet $5 on any pregame moneyline wager, and if that cashes in, you get $150 in bonus bets where you can use that on same-game parlays. I like the player props this time of the year, right, where the stars are going to get the calls and they tend to fill up the stat sheets. Now, if mobile sports betting is not allowed in your state, that's cool. You can still get in on the fun with the DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports, where they offer cash and prizes for nearly every sport. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook now. New customers use the promo code ALK. Again, $5 pregame moneyline bet, and if that cashes in, you win $150 in bonus bets. That's promo code ALK at DraftKings Sportsbook. Now that I've kind of calmed down and realized what's happened and went through the film today for my breakdown, which you can always see on my Patreon. 30 free throws controlled the pace of that game 7. My biggest concern in that game 7 was the pace the Kings put on the Warriors in game 6. Now you have this quick turnaround, a noon start on the road. And I thought that once it became a track meet, these older legs were going to be exposed like they were in game 6. But again, the pace was controlled by the free throw shooting. But credit the Warriors for drawing those fouls and getting to the line. Even though they missed, 11 free throws? Both teams were tight at the line, right? But they went high pick and roll action to start the game with Looney and Steph high, Draymond on the strong side, right? And it turned into a pistol action or Draymond hitting Looney on the roll. And that did a couple of things, right? It alleviated the trap. They couldn't trap Steph because he was getting rid of it so quickly coming off the initial screen. And it also prevented that hook pass turnover that, is kind of his signature when it comes to turnovers, right? And I think that moving forward in this Lakers matchup, we're going to see more of that. Now, granted, it's going to be much more difficult to finish in the paint against this Lakers team, but I thought that was a key adjustment from Steve Kerr, allowing Steph to just go to a traditional offense. And I'll tie that back into this Lakers matchup here. But that was the main thing. I think from Sacramento's perspective, if you want, listen, it was a great year, a great battle. And, it kind of feels like that initiation to the playoffs. You got to have one of these tough losses on your resume to kind of understand how to grow throughout the playoffs. And that was the concern, I think, with the Kings, that ultimately, hey, does their offense and style transfer to the playoffs? And you kind of figured it does. But as the series extended, that pace that they played with, as young as they are, I think that it's hard to sustain that pace throughout an entire series for 7 games. You saw the 3-point shot kind of betray them. And then Mike Brown, to his credit for the move in game 6, he stuck with Terrence Davis too long in that game 7, right? On the way to the 50 ball, there was a lot more Terrence Davis on Steph instead of Davion Mitchell. And I think if you asked Mike Brown today, that would be his biggest regret as far as the game 7 decision making. All right, let's jump into again, this quick look at this Lakers-Warriors series because it's starting. It's starting tomorrow, and that certainly favors the Lakers coming off 4 days rest. And that, I think, is the biggest subject matter of this series, that it's all condensed into like 10 days. There's only 1 day off between games, right? I think when you look at Steph versus LeBron and AD, that favors Steph. You got two bigger guys, and you've seen LeBron's performances when there's only 1 day off at this point, right? However, you look at the rest of the roster, and it probably favors the Lakers, right? And that's where the Lakers really have an edge. It's their depth and their role players and stylistically matching up against this Warriors team, right? And young Hachimura, Reeves, Vanderbilt, all kind of high motor guys here, where that 48-hour turnaround, I should say, is probably not going to affect them as much as a Clay. That's another thing. You talk about Clay's struggles shooting in Game 6 and in Game 7 yesterday. To me, what it is we know the level of difficulty that the shots that Clay takes. When he's on the move, if he doesn't really have his legs and he's a little fatigued, he can't go straight up and down, and he starts drifting and leaning too much, specifically on the move. And so, again, every other day, how does Clay respond to that? Draymond always being asked to do everything defensively, guard up. And so the advantage of the every other day series here, I think, goes to the Lakers as a whole. But as you know, it's a star-driven league, and usually these series are determined by the stars. And I think that Steph has an advantage over LeBron when we talk about this schedule. The other thing that I wanted to point out, I just got done talking about the pick and roll offense, the traditional offense where, right, he either comes off the screen and hits it to Draymond, they hit the roller, or he hits it to Draymond or whoever's on the wing, and then it just turns into the pistol action. There's all these variants out of it. And I actually think that it kind of can save Steph's legs and energy as opposed to the motion offense. How many times have you watched a possession of Steph off the ball where he's playing ring around the rosy, right? And he circles around the court maybe 3 or 4 times. He's getting pulled, he's getting held, all to just get the ball and have to create a shot at the end anyway. And so this simplified offense, not only was it highly effective, but I think that moving forward, I think that it could preserve Steph's energy and allow him to have more. You don't want to say he can repeat this performance, but I ain't gonna doubt the man, right? He can have more performances like this operating that way. But again, maybe I'm contradicting myself here because I talked about stars leading the way and all this. What concerns me is the Lakers' role players. Austin Reeves, Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura. Stylistically, just tough matchups, keeping Vanderbilt off the glass, their size, Reeves' ability to draw fouls. And so I kind of think that this series is actually going to be determined by the others, as Shaq likes to call them. And the Lakers right now, you think they have that advantage because their young guys are playing, they're deeper right now. And here's the deal and the question from the Warriors side of things. You look at Dante DiVincenzo, Jordan Poole, and GP2 have been the main role players off the bench for the Warriors in that first round. But the issue being the Lakers are so much bigger, I don't think you can rely on those guys anymore. It's going to have to be Moody, Kuminga, and or some spot minutes from JaMychal Green. The role players in the rotation have to be different in this series. And so that's the big question for me. Who are the others for the Warriors that are going to step up? Because right now we've seen the Lakers, these others, these role players have kind of carried them in some games. They're flowing and they're rolling. And that's the biggest question to me. Steve Kerr probably has caught more flack this season than any season previously as the Warriors coach. Right or wrong, it is what it is. It hasn't been a great coaching year for him, but with the context of what the organization has asked him to do with the 2 timelines and trying to integrate, and people say, well, they should have played Moody and Kuminga more all season long, right? We weren't afforded that luxury because we barely made the playoffs, right? And so there's a lot of hindsight and give and take, but where Steve Kerr could redeem himself and the magic trick that Steve Kerr could pull out here is how does he get young Kuminga to restart his engine and find a rhythm here in this round 2? You know, because the fact of the matter is they're going to need him. They're going to need size. They're going to need athleticism. And again, the others, the role players, they're going to need spot minutes from JaMychal Green. And so, yes, you would have loved for them to have been in the rotation against Sacramento, played more minutes down the stretch. But I think that Kerr, more than any other season, was coaching minute to minute this year because we were desperate for wins to just even crack the playoffs. The one thing I'll say strategy-wise, because we know that things will change game to game and there'll be a surprise guy in the rotation and the adjustments. But the one thing that dawned on me watching this traditional high pick and roll offense in that game 7 and shooting into the pistol action is I think they need to attack LeBron. I think they need to call LeBron up into the pick and rolls and treat him like any other center in the league that doesn't want to guard above the three-point line and test that 38-year-old gas tank. Right? That could be a huge key. And I think, I feel better about saying that and thinking that it might happen than I would have before that game 7, because Kerr on the biggest stage in the biggest moment showed the ability to kind of swallow his instincts and go against the traditional offense and just simplify things. And the chef rewarded us all for it. Right? And so Dub Nation, What do you want me to tell you here as far as a pick? You want a pick, right? You want a pick. You want it, not just a pick, but you want it, the games played, right? That's kind of how we do these things. And what if I just said, I don't know? I think that sometimes with me personally, what's the saying? I'm too deep in the woods to see the trees. I'm too deep in the forest to see the trees, right? I can't really look at things objectively because I'm just, again, so focused on it. So, does it make me a better fan if I say Warriors all the way, never a doubt, Warriors? That's not what I'm going to say. And I think most of you know that, right? Listen, I'm going to take the Lakers in 6 with the caveat that they have a healthy Anthony Davis. But saying healthy Anthony Davis is kind of like an oxymoron, isn't it? Right? And so it's going to be a battle, but styles make fights. And I think that this is a bad matchup for the Warriors when you look at the depth of the Lakers and their size, their rim protection, and the familiarity that LeBron James has with our offense. Now, I know some of you are going to be in the comments, don't ever doubt him again. The chef 50 ball. Yeah, I'm not saying it's going to be easy either way, but all I can do, again, is tell y'all how I'm feeling and what I think. And right now, I think that this is a bad matchup for the Warriors, specifically with the roster design and lack of size. Now, how could this change, right? Well, is it Moses Moody? Is it Jonathan Kuminga just announcing himself to the world on this stage? There's going to have to be someone that steps up in this series that wasn't a big part or didn't have a good series in round 1 against Sacramento. Let me know in the comments y'all's picks. We ain't got no time to breathe. Neither do they. Aren't y'all kind of like tired from the game 7, right? Just the emotions of watching it. Now imagine the Warriors trying to recover and then prepare and play a game tomorrow night. They do have home court advantage. That is one positive. Anyway, I'll be back with takes between these games. And as it plays out, hell, maybe I'll change my pick again. I can do that, right? I'm just going to tell you what I see along the way. As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.